America, my name is Osei-Frimpong, and you're watching The Black Athenians. And today we're going to talk about black people. Are we resources or are we people? You have to ask yourself, insofar as we participate in America, are we resources or are we people? 30% right now, there are fires raging in California. 30% of those firefighters are black. Well, they're inmates, right? And there are a lot of black people in prison in California. So a lot of those firefighters are black. So you have to ask, are they treated like employees or are they treated like, resources, either assets or liabilities, right? So expendable, disposable resources. So when are we treated as people and when are we treated like we're disposable resources? Not even like nice resources, disposable ones. We'll get back to it. Hit the beat.
To the beat, y'all.
Yeah. Sound good to me. Never change the ways for the world or the government. If I was the president, then I would state facts. You leave it up to me, I'll paint the White House black and ain't no future in your front.
So are we resources or are we people? Does the bail bondsman who bails your son out, does he think of your son as a person who deserves equal dignity, or are they just a way to make money? Are they just merely an asset? And then when you stop being an asset, are you a liability? And this is a question America has to answer insofar as we are a disposable population. Because one thing to have a private institution treat you like you're a liability and cast you off. It's another thing for it to be the political order that treats you either as an asset or a liability and not a person, because a person has rights whether they are considered an asset or a liability. The estate exists to secure rights for people. It does not exist to secure rights for, I would say dogs, but like Michael Vick got in trouble for not securing the rights of dogs. So for us, right? So the question is, there are a lot of institutions that make you feel as if possibly you're a person and not just a resource. For example, surely our schools treat the kids as if they're real people and not just resources. However, if you look at the curriculum and the teachers and the teachers' demeanor, you have to ask yourself, are the educational choices made for the empowerment of the students to be the quality of adults they need to be to get to be made whole, especially black students, because black students need a quality of education, especially about white supremacy, in order to fight to be made whole once they become adults. Are they being taught that quality of education? And is the reason they're not being taught that quality of education because it might make the white teachers uncomfortable? So the question is, have we skewed the curriculum for the comfort of our teachers rather than the knowledge of our students? And then what other institutions are skewed for the comfort of the institution rather than the independence and righteousness of the people? And how many of those institutions are black, right? So how many institutions, I can't even name. So since institutions need money to survive, there aren't too many institutions that are actually made for us. Even FUBU, which was supposed to be for us, by us, was it really for us? Or was it Jay-Z or Diddy?
Damon Jones.
Damon Dash.
No, Jones.
Damon Jones. That's not for us, that's for Damon.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So what would it mean to have institutions that are for us and black people? Even if you're an asset, that means you're merely an asset. That means the moment you start to become a person or a liability or expect to be anything more than an asset, you get cast off. And this is not just by private entities, it's by the United States government. So I'm going to go through a few institutions in Athens that appear to be marketed towards people, but are really trying to control assets. They're really asset management institutions. Give me the Citizens Police Academy. All right, so in Athens, we have the Citizens Police Academy, because over half of our budget in Athens Clark County budget goes to public safety. Much of that public safety is, the police budget and then the sheriff's budget. So we have a Citizens Police Academy where we get to find out what it's like to actually do law enforcement and find out what it's like to do law enforcement in Athens, Clark County, and we get to be pretend cops. But
It's not exactly true.
That's not, because Karina went through it. And I know some people went through it, but like, here's the deal. It's a 12-week course, and it seems to be something that like we just want to inform the citizens. But what it is a long commercial, because who controls the police budget? The citizens, right? So what it is they get you, it's a captured, it's like when they're trying to sell you timeshares. So they get you in a captured room, and they just tell you how hard it is to be a cop and how many new toys they need. They have 2 drones, but now they need 4 drones. It's okay. These aren't the drones, and this is an actual situation. These aren't the drones that you can mount guns on. These are just drones for cameras, and the fire departments want some of our drones. So like, it would be really nice if you advocated for more drones. So you get 12 weeks of a propaganda that's called the Citizens Police Academy. The problem is this is paid for by this Citizens Police Academy. This is paid for by Athens Clark County government. So just think about it. It's supposed to, like, we treat you, it's supposed to be marketed to you as a person when they want to inform you as a person. But really, you're there to grow the police department's budget. That's why they have this here. They need enough thought leaders in the program who can advocate for, well, you know, the job of the policeman is so hard. I rode around in the squad car for you know, once a week for 12 weeks or whatever. And now I just know, I feel their pain in a way. This is kind of the way some reporters who weren't savvy enough got sucked in by being embedded reporters. Pretty soon, the soldiers start seeming really human. They start seeming less like soldiers, but more like, you know, parents and who are just trying to, you know, secure freedom by shooting those other people. So embedded reporters have to watch out so they don't start taking on the institution's aims as their own. They're supposed to actually, you know, judge with somewhat distance, not as a soldier, right? So this Citizens Police Academy isn't trying to create knowledgeable citizens. It's trying to create police advocates among the citizenry, right? Give me another. This is another program. Give me Lead Athens. Lead Athens. It's supposed to, like, we want, you know, to promote civic engagement because there is an $8.5 billion GDP in Athens. So if the politics just isn't right, the people who want to get paid won't get paid what they want to get paid. So the Chamber of Commerce designed a program to teach the next generation the Chamber of Commerce. Yes. Hold on. I think Chambers of Commerce are fascinating institutions. And I think my associate producer, Sin, has something to say about that. Hold on.
So the Chamber of Commerce is breeding or training the future leaders. That's the idea. An organization that doesn't care about workers. By design. Wants to maximize profit over concern for people. Yeah. Are breeding the leaders, and we wonder why we have leadership problems. Okay, just checking.
It works exactly the way it's supposed to do. So,
I won't be getting invited to the chamber meetings.
well, I don't know. They are what they are, but they are an interest group. When they say they're promoting leaders, and they put a lot of money and they get a lot of press for this, when they say they're promoting leaders with a certain agenda, and that is to promote leaders who can advocate for the interest of a certain class, the ownership class, right? They're not like, and this is very important in Athens because Athens has depressed wages. Almost everyone will admit that Athens has depressed wages. The university depresses wages, and then and the hospitals. So, and it's kind of a two-tiered wage. We have white wages and we have black wages, and like hipster wages, right? So like we have depressed wages, and we could address these depressed wages with better organized labor and a better, workforce ethic, especially more pressure with the university. But we have depressed wages, and in order to keep those wages depressed, we need political clout and political cover. And Lead Athens' job is to create the next generation of political cover to keep wages depressed, right?
Otis just pointed out that the Chamber of Commerce, largest formerly led by Herman Cain, for years.
For years, yeah, of course it was. Yes, it was, because the goal of the Chamber of Commerce is to keep exploitable labor exploited, right? Everything else is kind of window dressing, but like it's to keep exploitable labor exploited. What? Birth of a city. Yeah. Yeah. So, and in order to keep it exploited, they need a political infrastructure. They need an institution. So they'll say like, no, come, we'll teach you how to be a leader. You'll be able to put this on your resume. And what they will teach you is how hard it is to be an owner, and how we have to keep these wages low. Now, Athens is one of those places with a very low unemployment rate, but also very low wages.
Low unemployment, high poverty, not a good combo.
Low unemployment, high poverty, low wages. So a lot of people work, still don't make rent. They work a whole job and still getting pushed out of the city. Like, that's not a lie.
They work 2 jobs.
And still getting pushed out to, I would say Oglethorpe, but Oglethorpe doesn't want you. And Oglethorpe County next door doesn't want you because they just hired a police officer. Yeah. Yeah, well, not a lot of things. Comer. Elberton. Greene County. All right, so these are not places you want to be. But yeah, Oglethorpe County put a big sign that says no Negroes allowed because they hired like a famous police officer who gained notoriety by running down one of Athens, youth. So, and then Oconee County put up another sign saying we don't want you around because they're not building houses under $200,000. Like they passed it. $200,000. You need to be
building houses under $350,000.
Well, no, but they put it in law that like you need to be this high to drive to ride this ride. So if you're working $10 an hour for one of the many jobs we have, $7 an hour, you're not riding that ride.
Let's be clear. I was talking to someone about Oconee County because we're losing businesses to Oconee County. So I was talking to someone about Oconee County because Athens is losing businesses to Oconee County. They've built a large shopping area, and someone was like, oh, well, they would want public transit. And I'm like, why? Their kids all have BMWs to get to their jobs. Like, they're not working to pay for their car. They're working to hang out with their friends. Wow. It is not a place, like, literally, I'm like, they don't want us taking their children's jobs. Note, their children's jobs that the rest of us would have to treat like a primary source of income. Yeah, no. Oconee does not want us.
No, Oconee does not want us. And those jobs just exist so that the kids can say, I had a job when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Right before they worked for the daddy's company. So we need to take that seriously. That institutions that are supposed to be for our betterment have their own institutional concerns. And this is actually something that people don't understand and don't take seriously enough, especially in terms of nonprofits. They still have to keep the lights on, right? Like any leader who is an institutional actor first, be they a pastor or a director of anything, is an institutional actor first. Right? So they're not going to jeopardize the institution in the name of justice. And justice doesn't care about the institution. Justice wants fair for all the institutions, especially if it has an antagonistic relationship with another institution, right? This is the difference between being a private institution in civil society and government. When you're a private institution in civil society, you're like a player on a team. You care about your team. It's not your job if you play for the Falcons to care about to try to make sure that Denver wins. That's not your job. You're making sure that the Falcons win. That's what it's like to be an institutional actor in private society. Now, when you're an institutional actor in government, when you're a government official, you care about the game, right? You care about both sides and making sure that the game is fair. That's the difference between being a governing officer or an elected official and being a private actor, part of the Chamber of Commerce or even a union. And insofar as you're a pro-labor government actor, it's because you recognize there's a standing obstacle to the game being fair. It's not because you're biased. You don't think workers are better and you're not advocating for workers' like for worker supremacy. No, you just want the game to be fair. You need workers to have a balance of power. So when a political officer is pro-union or pro-labor, that means they think that the power is unbalanced and they're trying to balance it. Now, union actors, as private union actors, they are worried about their union. Union officials, as officials, are worried about the balance of the whole. People don't understand that. It's because we don't teach the difference between citizenship and private interests. But let me know now. So like most of the private actors you understand and you know, they're private actors first, right? They have conflicting loyalties. Your boss, you're human. A lot of people, and I'm going to let you talk about this too. A lot of people don't, I've heard over the course of the last few months, 3 people have come to me and say, oh, I'm going to go to human resources. I'm going to go to human resources. That title has confused more Negroes. All right, so human resources don't work for you, black people, unless you own the company. And let's be honest, if you're watching this, you probably don't own the company. Human resources are there to manage you. They're there to control you. They're there to find a reason to fire you if you become not an asset, but a liability. They're not there, like the human resources department, and this has a lot of people confused. Just like I used to work for I've had a lot of jobs, and one of my first jobs was in a movie theater. I cleaned movie theaters, and our movie theater served real butter. Butter did not come from cows. Our butter came from a company named Real. So it confused a lot of people when I said we serve real butter because they might thought they had a dairy product. But no, they had butter substitute from a company named Real. That's kind of like human resources. You think, oh, they're there to treat me like humans. No, they're there to find reasons to fire you without getting sued. And my associate producer, once again, has intimate knowledge of this work, having been on all the sides of the problem. Hold on.
So yeah, having worked in HR for several companies, it's not even just that when you become a problem, we are taught to have a plan for you long before you become a problem to get rid of you in the shortest amount of time. And it's not to fire you, actually. It's to get you to quit. Because if you quit, we don't have to pay unemployment. Like, literally, I can give you a story where as a assistant manager and HR specialist, I was instructed to give an employee 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the evening on the same day so that basically they would eventually just quit. So every one of their shifts was 4 hour opening, 4 hour closing every time. Human resources, yeah, I made the mistake of going into HR because I wanted to help people. And then you get there and realize, hold on, my boss who, keeps me employed, that's not his intention. That's not his boss's intention. So yeah, no, human resources is not for you. Going to human resources is basically giving them a heads up that you have issues and they need to get rid of you while your issues are still your issues before they become anyone who makes more money than you's issue. And HR departments are rewarded for maintaining problem-free stores. Think about that. So, no complaints coming out of a store? Bonuses are flowing and it's great and wonderful. But let's be clear. You don't stop complaints by making it better. You stop complaints by getting rid of the person complaining.
And let's be honest, that's us. We have rights. We like to think we're somewhat American.
It is.
Someone said HR is the enforcement arm of the company. Yeah, a lot of people get it confused. And this is like a lot of people, they talk about, we need to teach our kids to cook and we need to teach them how to balance a checkbook. We also need to teach them how these things work, right? Because a lot of kids, you shouldn't come out of high school thinking that HR is your friend. No.
You should come out of high school thinking HR is the principal.
Yes. Yeah, the vice principal. That is right.
And never trust the cool HR agent.
No, they are all there to find a reason to fire you. Apparently, before you've even like.
Yeah, literally, I can tell you that from the first time I met an employee, my brain immediately had to go, what is this person's potential problem going to be?
Right. How can I get rid of them as quickly as possible? Make them quit. Not even fire them. How can I make them quit?
Because if you fire, you're going to pay unemployment.
No,
if
you
they
don't.
quit, they get nothing.
Nothing. Your job is the balance sheet, the company's balance sheet. So, do schools exist for children, or do they exist for the comfort and the jobs? There are a lot of ways in which Athens, Clark County schools are make-work jobs for like university spouses and like white people in Athens, or like cops' wives.
I mean, you just described the entire teaching force.
Not the entire teaching force, but like they're like, do we?
98%.
A lot of the teaching force, we needed to create a job for cops' wives. And so, like, we made, they became teachers. Yeah, so, like, there's a...
I'm just thinking about how many teachers have told me, oh, by the way, here's my husband's card. He's a police officer.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And, honestly, a lot of these people don't even live in Athens. So, what you'll have is both cops and teachers doing their work in Athens and taking their money to Oconee County or some other county because, like, we're just a natural resource. Black people are just a natural resources. There are so many social work students who get their money counseling black people. Look, our problems are political, and our political problems become mental health issues. There's a great paper that came out by Sandy Darity. You can probably find it. I think it dropped today. It might have dropped today or yesterday about the link between unemployment at good wages and mental health. I might put it in the... I'll find it. I think I can put it in the description of this video. Let me write myself a note to put it on the description. Description, Darity Paper. All right, so a lot of our health problems and social service problems come from bad politics. So if we had meaningful work and like decent bosses who weren't actively plotting to make us crazy enough to quit, acting like as a job, then like the mental health issue would.
They're not actively doing it. They're
Passively, they're paying someone
to actively plot.
I pay someone.
A whole department.
Yeah, a whole department that's trying to figure out a way to make you quit, and then you have a mental health. People telling you have a mental health problem because like you tell people that I think the department's plotting against me and they're trying to make me quit. That's black life.
The contrast there is between the history of that happening with whistleblowers
Yeah.
and the history of it happening with black people.
Yeah. Was it?
Stories you get told are so different. You get told the truth when it's whistleblowers about how it actually works.
Right.
And when it's any kind of marginalized group.
You're just like, no, what are you talking about? No. Real estate, people don't understand like what real estate agents do. They're not there to treat black people like humans. They're there to treat neighbors and landowners like potential clients, right? So they're not going to show you black people. They're not going to show you the house that's going to end up making the neighbors nervous because they want the neighbors' business. They're not going to jeopardize their name and reputation by being fair to black people. So once again, we are an exploitable resource for real estate agents because they have to act as if they're our friends, but really they want the white business that might not want us and will cater to them.
Did you
Yes.
know there is actually a difference between a real estate agent and a realtor? I just learned this recently.
I did not know that.
Realtors have agreed to rules of ethics to prevent that in theory.
Right.
Real estate agents didn't even bother to lie.
I can't be bothered. I just want to make money selling white people houses next to other white people. So like don't talk to me about no ethics. Darn it. So like we don't talk about real estate agents being cogs of white supremacy. I think we don't talk about real estate agents because so many of them are women, and the idea that women can be perpetrators of harm isn't something that we're ready to talk about. So these institutions like Lead Athens, these institutions like the Citizens Police Academy, these institutions.
Now.
Well, the thing is,
Just for the
experience. It's 12 weeks. Well, all they do is tell you 12 weeks, once a week, 12 weeks. All they do is tell you how hard it is to be a cop,
I don't know if I want to sit through that.
how hard it is, and how like it would just be easier with more toys.
Life does get easier
With more toys, and I'm sure the cops want another drone.
Yeah.
Another drone.
Their toys are probably a little bit different than mine. I mean, dangerous.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can't be trusted with cars. So,
But if we had like the better car with the faster brakes, or like so,
you can hit them easier.
so to what extent do we have to think of black people? Or not only do we have to think, are black people functionally resources? Resources. That check cashing place in your spot is not owned by a black person, and like what? Or that if that check cashing place on your spot is owned by a black person, that black person does not live in your neighborhood. They do not send your kids. Like, I want to say, look, and this has political ramifications too. I know you love your Barack Obama and you like your Michelle Obama, but at what point were we just resources for the Obama family to get a come up? Like, we were resources for the Obama family to get a come up. And that is a problem that at least I think we all should have. At what point in time are we treated like people whose rights should be secured, or what point in time are we treated like resources? That means assets or liabilities. Assets or liabilities. If you're an asset, that means you make your person money, make your owner money. If you're a liability, that means you cost them money, or you expose them to vulnerability or risk. And since resources are disposable, like as soon as we start becoming a disposable resource, we find ourselves in jail. We find ourselves profiled. We find ourselves kicked out. So we need to think of all of these institutions from schools. There are a lot of people in Athens. Let me write this down so I don't forget spousal economy. There are a lot of people in Athens who get paid, a lot of white people in Athens who get paid to minister to black people. Not so much ministers because our churches are segregated, but teachers, their jobs to minister to black people. White teachers get a lot of money. A lot of people at the university get paid to study black people, but they study black people the way entomologists study bugs and geologists study rocks. They just happen to study Negroes. They go where the grant is at. And the grant happens to be sometimes in studying Negroes as objects. What else? There are a lot of do-gooders who get paid to throw little programs for black people, but that won't lead to like jobs, serious jobs, with good working conditions. Because it's not about that. It's about, shine. There are a lot of social workers, white social workers who graduate from UGA because the social work program at UGA is mostly white. So these white ladies graduate from UGA and they become social workers in
One of the 519
nonprofits, all these MSWs who are worthless to actual black liberation because they're not about securing black people good jobs at fair wages, which is at the beginning and is the beginning and end of like a lot of our problems. So they're just treating symptoms, if that.
And I want to someone asked me recently because I work with a nonprofit. They're like, you guys talk about nonprofits all the time, and you run one. And I'm like, the difference is that I'm trying to run myself out of a job.
That is a very important.
Yes, like that. I mean, my goal with the charity is to not have a job.
Right, to not need this service because the problem has been.
Yeah, the idea is that we teach people to be the advocates that we are on their own so that they don't need us to advocate for them. And I think if you aren't running a charity with the goal of being unemployed, you are doing it wrong.
No, but a lot of people think that the poor will always be with us, so I might as well just make my mint off of them.
I like not to be poor people. I mean, it's not just because I'm one of them. I mean, in general.
Yeah, I just like we can actually end poverty with better politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get a lot of these, and like I said, these MSWs, a lot of them are white women. They neither know enough nor care enough to actually like advocate for the quality of systemic issues that we need that will make whatever, mental illness or substance abuse, like all of these problems that just stand as a response to like systemic degradation. They neither know enough nor care enough to actually advocate for the real solutions. They're there to just collect a check and maybe like listen.
Ooh.
There are a lot of therapists who think their job is to listen.
Otis just
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't no, and they think they should get paid good money to listen.
yeah.
Right. So what's up?
Yeah, Otis also pointed out that we are actually just the lubricant to keep the system moving smoothly.
We are the lubricant to keep the system moving smoothly. That's all we are. And then once they find a way to make money without us, we are disposable. So that's Black life, and those are the institutional concerns we should be talking about when we affiliate with any institution. Do they care more about keeping a job than they do about my liberation? And that's the question you should ask about your church. That's the question you should ask about your therapist. That's the question you should ask about your teacher, your kid's teacher. Do they care more about keeping a job than they do about my liberation? And if the answer is no, they care more about keeping a job, that's fine. Just know that that's the score. Know that that's the score. And maybe you need to separate yourself from the institution. That's very important because, and a lot of people in those institutions will be confused. They actually think they're on your side. A lot of Democrats are like this too. They think they're on their side and are surprised at themselves when they betray you in a pinch. But I didn't know I was going to betray them, but yet I did. I will tell you, they will betray you in a pinch. And our life is full of pinches. So
Someone was asking because they were talking about the interference, and there was a statement made by a friend that people who say, well, we've interfered in other people's elections for years, so, why should we be shocked that someone did it to us? And I had a friend who kind of responded and was like, we've nuked people. How would you feel if that happened? And I was like, do you want a real answer? I'm like, that uncertainty you're feeling right now, I have felt that my entire life.
you don't have a camera on him right now. Actually, you look at the camera.
Oh, the hair is like it's.
You look handsome. There you go. All right.
Oh,
so
there.
you are a full-size black man. Let me back for a second. All right. So you're looking at a full-size black man, not a medium Negro, a full-size, large, depending on who you talk to. In his earlier days, XX large, a black man who has to move about in this world. What strategies do you have so as not to scare like regular like white people?
I laugh a lot. I mean, it really is. I was just having a conversation over lunch with someone about code switching and how real it is. If you hear me around my friends from DC, I sound almost completely different. My word choice is different. And it's so subconscious that I also do not express emotion. Unless it's positive, like if I'm annoyed by something, I just kind of look at people. Oh, and certainly never angry or raise my voice.
No, yeah. You have a basic voice.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Over 6 feet tall.
Six, unfortunately, only 6 even.
Okay, so you're 6 even, over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
With bass in your voice.
Yes. I watch people all the time, until they talk to me, that are very nervous, and then they come talk to me, and they're like, "Oh, he's so charming. He's so friendly. He's so outgoing." Yeah, and I'm literally, I spend a lot of time being very calculating, even in crowds, about how I move. That I don't, force my way through a crowd. I pause and patiently wait. Say excuse me a couple of times. This can be at a club or any number of places because God forbid I get mistaken for being the aggressor in the situation because I know where I'll end up. All day long. It's a dance show. It is literally doing that constantly.
Yeah. So yeah, Sin is full size with bass in his voice. Probably gives people twice the personal space that like most people have to give. You have to.
Yeah.
I have to give you twice the personal space because at any moment in time I might like I don't know.
I
Boom.
bump you.
Bump you like yeah.
Bump you, and all of a sudden I was trying to pick your pocket.
Yeah, I have to give you twice the personal space. So, this show was about what it is to be a liability or a resource, not a person. Because a person has the world organized to sustain their rights. We, as black people, go into the world trying not to be exploited. Right? It's not for us. It's not for us. The world is not organized for us. The world is organized for us as natural resources. We are, the mice not getting trampled by the elephant.
Well, I was watching a conversation and someone was like, you don't want to be someone's stereotype.
You don't want to be
when,
someone.
When I'm around, and I have a pretty mixed group of friends. Yes, I just did say I have white friends, that line. You don't want to be someone's stereotype. I used to be so uptight about my hair because, I didn't want it wild because I didn't want, look at the crazy Negro with the wild hair. And I have gotten kind of whatever about it, depending on the day of the week. But just little things like, God forbid you say something and be called ghetto. Like, oh no. Or what? Yeah, no. And when I didn't, yeah, just to be clear, when I wasn't in the projects, I was still in the projects effectively of DC. Like, it just wasn't officially the projects. Yeah. So this idea that, that person's ghetto. I literally in college had someone tell me that a peer, who is a very good friend of mine now, we've talked about this, who is from St. Simon's Island. If you don't know what St. Simon's Island, Georgia is, it doesn't get whiter than St. Simon's Island or Old Money. Literally, other white people in our circle of friends would be like, oh, Patrick's blacker than you. And I'm like, where? Like, Patrick doesn't get pulled over. Patrick doesn't get questioned. Like,
It's targeted. Patrick can get a job on an interview.
Yeah. Patrick's family has a school named after them.
Oh, so Patrick doesn't even, he goes to interviews. Patrick just has to stay off the pills. Let's be honest. If Patrick doesn't pick up any addiction, Patrick does fine.
I don't even remember what Patrick's major was.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He just has to get through college without getting addicted.
And he did.
And I'm sure he's doing fine.
Yeah.
So, the goal is now through politics to create a world that's actually for us and not just be gazelles in the window, who exist for lions. I want it to exist for us. And that's what we can do through politics, but we have to know the score. And I think this is the score. So ask yourself. I think, I tell people it's very important to be fired. If you're a black person who's never been fired, you're suspect. I'll be honest. Because, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, if you're a black person who's ever been fired.
I technically have only been fired once.
All right. Once.
And it was for eating a broken cookie.
You were fired once for eating a broken cookie. Yeah. Like, if you're a black person who's never been fired over 25, I don't know. What kind of life are you living? Like, you're like, yeah. Like, I was about to say, like, what kind of life are you living? Because I just don't know. You're not doing is standing up for other black people. Yeah. I can tell you that right now.
I was talking to somebody.
You're not doing that.
I forgot who I was talking to. Someone mentioned you and Iron Man have held a lot of jobs.
I've held a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I realized early that I had to be so overqualified for a job. I had to be so freakishly overqualified for a job that I've just held a lot. I was like reading Greek as a security officer.
I mean, I sold $35,000 worth of chocolate for Godiva a month and couldn't get a promotion.
Marcus just said he sold $35,000. $35,000
A month
worth
was
of
my average.
worth of chocolate from Godiva and couldn't get a promotion. So like my 20s and 30s was just being monstrously overqualified for a zillion jobs. Yeah, I wrote a few novels, did some other things. It was pretty good. But yeah. All right. So what I want to tell you one last thing about Athens. Athens' economy, if you don't know, is depressed. And there are a lot of strategies we use to depress the economy. The students are like Mikey. They'll do anything. And since a lot of them don't need money because they come from family money, they kind of playing it, working before they go work for their dad's construction company or whatever. So they'll do anything for cheap, right? It won't be necessarily the best, highest quality, but they'll do it for cheap. So students, you got a lot of spouses, right? They followed their spouse to Georgia for some reason, to Athens for some reason because the spouse got a job at the hospital or the university or something. And so you got a lot of these ladies depressing wages because they're pretty well educated and they don't need money because the real money's coming from the spouse's job. So they're just sitting around depressing wages. So these people are also awful if you want to actually organize unions or anything. So because they don't have a real labor sensibility. So you got the students depressing wages and you got the spouses depressing wages. And then, all these people are politically active. The people who come to Athens to be musicians because they want to be the next REM. But really, if that doesn't work out, they can get a job at their dad's roofing business and that'll be fine. And
Throw a rock, hit a band member in this town.
yeah, throw a rock and hit a band member. But yet, so they're poor, but not the way the black Athenians are poor, because they don't come from descendants of slaves. They just don't want to do what their dad did at their dad's business.
They aren't being segregated to one part of the city.
Right.
They now slowly run out of that part.
Yeah, they weren't segregated to one part of the city and then slowly run out of that part of the city. So we need to talk about the pressures that keep people from being okay with low wage work in a town with a 28% poverty rate, 30% black rate, and a okay, so it's anywhere from 32 to 38, depending on who you talk to. I did say 28. It's anywhere from 32 to 38, depending on who you talk to and if they add students. But it maps it hews pretty closely to the black population.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Students?
Yeah.
Poverty doesn't come with meal plans. They don't count.
Yeah, poverty doesn't come with meal. Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? So students there are a lot of even cash-rich students. I was about to say students are cash poor, but network rich, and then they got this trust fund that doesn't get activated until 25. But apparently, I heard that within 4 miles of downtown, there are 1,500 millionaires under 21 or under.
Wow.
1,500 millionaires 21 or under, within 4 miles of downtown. That's a lot of students with actual money in their accounts, stocks in their name.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what direction that neighborhood goes. I mean, we know it goes towards 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 points, but it's also people under 21 who are worth $1 million. Prince Avenue's got some money in it. But a lot of these students, they come with pretty good stock portfolios that their parents started when they were young and grandma just died and it's in a stock. So they're worth $1 million. So 1,500, none of them are black. Maybe one African. What's up, Broad? New East Broad Street. There's a lot of new money coming in there. Oh, yeah, that is a lot of new money. Yeah. So, yeah, 4 miles.
I mean, my best friend got $10,000 in a new car for graduating undergrad.
Yeah, $10,000 and a new car for graduating undergrad. That's, So,
30 for grad school. 30,
But you know, yeah, but we also know the wedding's gonna come, and then if he gets married, like the house will.
Already got married.
Yeah, the down payment's gonna come from help. And that's all fine and good. We just need to understand that old money is a lot of money, and we don't have any of it, and it uses us, because these students come here, and then starts thinking, well, I could just buy up that house, and overwhelm that black family, because this is a nice place to live, and that's what happens. Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of students who want to be activists, and I was thinking about this because we have a lot of students that want to be activists in the area, and I was thinking about this because I'm doing voter registration later today, but they don't register to vote here. They don't realize that they can register to vote here because they have to live here for 4 years, and they could help change the face of some of these areas. We have districts in this town that are literally drawn from expensive areas straight through campus over to other areas because they know, oh, that's all students and they're going to vote back at home. Well, you're not living at home for 4 years. So help fix this city while you're here.
Yeah. I mean, the transient economy helps people who own land. Exploitable resources. To a lot of these people, the students are exploitable resources, which is fine because students come for money, but like black people, we need to start thinking about the conditions of our personhood and that we're not just mere liabilities or assets. Some people think, oh, it's great, I'm an asset. No, you're still just an asset. You're still just a thing. You're not a person. Like you're an asset. You make money for other people. Like the world is not organized for you yourself to be capital. It's for you to, yeah. So that's an owner. Yeah, or just be treated like a person while you work. I don't know if I think I said, but it was very important. First of all, I met a guy yesterday. I met a guy who is a white guy, owns his own marketing firm in town. It's great. And I walk in, I see a lot of old cameras, and I was like, what'd your grandpa did? And it turns out that his granddad was a Navy photographer. Oh. Navy photographer. Would you believe? Navy photographer. So like those are because they have to take pictures of like the battleships and things blowing up. So I always say it takes 3 generations to make a career. So his granddad was a Navy photographer. Interesting. And his dad was in the print business, print marketing. And so now he owns his own marketing company, just magically. Magically. It just so happens to be, well, no, they're like, no, but like, I mean, it's just institutional knowledge and cultural knowledge. Cultural knowledge, like you're just comfortable around the process of marketing in a way that, pastors' kids aren't. They're like the teachers' kids on. So like you just end up being a marketing exec doing tech marketing, owning your own marketing firm with like. And this guy had went to junior college, and now owns a successful marketing business. Because well yeah, but you know what you had to do to have a grandfather who took photos for the Navy?
Not have been slaves.
That was not a job that black people were doing.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of black people can cook because their grandparents were cooks, but like to take photos for the Navy, if your grandparents like that's just not, we weren't in that corps. That wasn't us. So thank you for your time. Hope you've enjoyed the show. By the way, this doesn't pay for itself. So if you like anything I'm doing, please go to funkyacademic.com, sign up for a membership, $5, $15, $50 a month. That'd be great. Or give me a one-time big donation because I got to pay rent and, I'm making moves and plans and, things are happening. And I'm trying to grow people's capacity to govern. That's what real organizing is. Activism is when you tell truth to power. Organizing is growing other people's capacity to govern themselves and with other people. All right. Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye.